Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the reigning world champion, the Terran in the blue from Team Liquid. It's Clem, facing off against the former Zerg world champion. In the red, the Executioner. We have Rogue in a best of 5 Terran versus Zerg showdown, with Clem's near-perfect macro, micro, hairstyle, decision-making, and Rogue's lack of respect for any of those things. Before we get started, it'd be awesome if you could put some respect on what Jimmy does every day, which is beg you for likes and maybe even subscribes and help me counter the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? Jim, $2. Okay. 1,616 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one, and I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. And the first drones and lings, the Reaper comes across, Queen pops out, and Rogue was able to grab the third base down along the vertical path. But the Queen will politely yet firmly ask the Reaper to leave, and the Reaper will not respect her wishes, but will respect the knitting needle she's willing to throw out in order to keep it at bay. So 2 command centers already on the way behind. Clem going to try to snipe off a drone in between the bases. But the employee entrances there for the Reaper are going to allow it to escape with relative ease. And Rogue is a wild card. He doesn't have that... There's no actual statistical part of his gameplay I think is better than Cyril, or even more potent than Dark. But he just has this uncaring aspect. He is the villain that Dark pretends to be. He's always been this player. He's using to this day the Maru portrait in-game. Rogue infamously destroying Maru in the GSL finals in an embarrassing fashion. 4-0, 4-1, with pretty much the same Rochal in every game. And then, soon afterwards saying, yeah, Zerg's pretty OP. Maybe that was a different time he destroyed Maru. Either way, the fact he's still using his portrait is like someone showing off a scalp on their helmet. So, here we are. And the Executioner is an earned nickname. But Clem? Well, Friendabout tries to think about darting in. He knows, based on the timing of the third base, there's not going to be any Zergling speed. So a Hellion run-by could be more successful than usual. Even with a few Zerglings to keep it at bay, it can be shut down with relative ease. But another Queen pops up, this time the grenade, but behind it, no, it's not going to be good enough. He pops inside, and there's not enough to stop him. The drones are on the run, lining things up. Another Queen! But the Hellions are inside the house, and they're burninating across the countryside. 6 drones dead! The Queen desperately trying to chase them down. But still, and another grenade to bounce them out of the way. The amount of mining time lost, the amount of drones incinerated, the amount of Queens that were bowled off the line and chased back to the main is too damn high. Clem knew what he wanted, and he found a way to get it. Rogue knew what he wanted, and it didn't matter. Cloak is on the way. The Queens trying to make up for their failings, but unfortunately, while they might not be able to fly, they can still get bounced around. Pick a lane, you know. Clem, 48 SCVs back at home. Already evolution chambers for Rogue, but Clem has his... I believe we saw the double engineering bay. Yes, hasn't started those upgrades quite yet. Should in a moment. Thank you. Cloaks the Banshee. There is an Overseer, but takes out both the creep tumors. Ever the oncologist here, and despite Rogue using some Overseer creep drop, one of the more underutilized / disgusting abilities the Zerg have. But there's quite a list of those. Alright, Cloak's the second Banshee out of Solidarity. The Overseer patrolling on the other side like this is some sort of co-op mission, but 2 Banshees enough to kill drones in a single volley. And Clem very much demonstrating it now. The Spore Crawler just there to kind of do some zone control, but unlikely to do real damage against it. Meanwhile, Hydra is done. Infestation Pit. Rogue is kind of ignoring the existential threat that a follow-up push could pose. Are you really gonna... Okay. God, he's so... He's so good with that. Pretty well gestures at the game in general. But Clem makes so much out of every single unit. But Rogue clearly has a trajectory here. He's going straight towards Hive. Where's my lurker den? Or, oh, I'm sorry. Your lurker den, Rogue. Our lurker den, comrade. Unclear. Vipers are always a great unit. There's almost no scenario they're not going to be useful. But just Vipers is quite a bold choice. We've seen a resurgence of Infestors. I'm actually going to credit Scarlet in just a few of her games lately, but almost all of them using Infestors. And I've noticed a lot of Zerg players starting to use them more often since then. But the Terran army stimming through the speed zones because they weren't already fast enough. Siege tank on the low ground. Combat shield isn't done, but 1-1 very much is. That siege tank laying into the roaches, maximizing the splash, will finally be taken down. Already a great trade for Clem. But Rogue holds on to that top right corner base. And that means he has the economy and the production to keep up with a 3-base Terran. Assuming Clem doesn't have a severe upgrade advantage, assuming he doesn't have a huge army supply advantage. Ooh, even using the healing shrine over there. Not that useful when you have medevacs already overhead. And also there are air blockers, so they can't heal the medevacs, but that's what SCVs are for, right? Job security. Technically could be replaced by automation via mules, but I digress. Viper on the way. There's the lurker den. Rogue a little bit late on it, but much better late than never. The Banshees were repaired and sent out for another round. And going to zone things out. The hard part of this map is past the first 4 bases for Zerg, you have to expand towards the Terran. And the Terran is sending their medevacs towards you. 4 medevacs in the main, but the perimeter here starting to zone things out. 2 spore crawlers in position. May take down one of the medevacs. And Clem forced to retreat from the main base. The Banshee's finding some damage. Still, Clem microing on both fronts. The fact that Clem has over 100 more average APM as a Terran compared to Rogue Zerg. And all credit to Rogue. 350 APM for Zerg in this day and age is effectively glacial. But glaciers have an inevitability. All right, just that eventually will crush you. So, much like the sort of late-game changeling strategies that Rogue favors, it's not so much about how much you have, it's about how you use it. Actually, no, that's kind of the opposite with changelings. It's about how much you have. Like, if you have so many changelings, they just don't bother to take them out. It's effectively like having map hacks with extra steps. But the Banshees, still uncontested, gonna deny yet another base. Parasitic bomb on the one uncloaked Banshee, but forced to cancel the 5th base down the center. God, finally kills one. The parasites rip it apart. Ghosts on the way. Clem working on 2-2 upgrades, but Rogue is maxed out. He's got the Roach Hydra, he's got the Vipers, he's working on Zergling speed. One of these is not like the others, but filling in the blanks of his composition. Whereas right now, Clem with plenty of tanks and looking for some medevac flanks. 5 spine crawlers on the way. Sorry. Freudian slip. Rogue, not shying away from using those crawlers in order to root things down and have some basic late-game defense. They might not be great. I'm still petitioning for spine crawlers to benefit from melee attack upgrades. Come on, but that is the one not that meaningful but amusing buff I would love to see. 9 over... The oversight committee is coming together, and this is a strategy that Clem has gotten tilted against before. It's so dumb. Okay, it's so... Ugh. That's all I could come up with. That it kind of tilts it because it's wrong. It's not a good idea. It's a waste of money. Changelings don't do any damage, but the spine crawlers, the backbone of the defense, will slam into the Marines and shut down the drop. Clem driven back for now. The spines in the top right corner shut down the Marines. The spines of the lurkers will eviscerate any that drop out of the medevacs, but one exposed base down the center. The drones transferring and realizing that maybe now is not the time. Parasitic bomb on the medevacs, though, gonna do near critical damage. No, don't boost it back to them. Oh my, stop the spread. Lunges forward with the Hydralisk, and Clem on the back foot. The Overseers overhead. Will he EMP them? I mean, why not? Plenty of ghosts with the army changelings. You want a piece of meat, boys? I don't know. And changelings getting mixed in, conspicuously going the other way. Can just right-click on him, but it gets... And double Nidus! Rogue going all out. He's survived the onslaught of the mid-game Terran. And now, this is Rogue's game. He's got 2 Nidus networks on the way. Roach burrow move. That was one of the things I was going to mention as underutilized, yet surprisingly effective strategies. And Rogue actually thinking about it here. The changeling's out in the midst of everything. The Overseer's trying to get overhead. There is a real... It's not very effective, but if you get enough Overseers and they try to snipe your lurkers, if you put the Overseers in the right spot, they can tank the snipes. I wouldn't rely on it, but Rogue, well, the changeling's body blocking for the Nidus network at the natural. Zerglings running by into the third. Clem kind of floundering here. If he stays where he is right now... Oh, no lurkers in the natural. It doesn't matter. He's attacking forward, but the lurkers are already slicing through. The engineering base, very importantly, finish those 3-3 upgrades. But dealing with this is going to be incredibly difficult. A thorny situation as the lurker spines slicing through. Some of the changelings boxing out. 27 SCVs have been slaughtered, and Clem is retreating. There are changelings all over the place. He doesn't know where to go. Rogue with a decisive victory on the field and in Clem's base. It feels like he's mentally just pulled him apart. The sheer willpower of Rogue's strategy right now is oh my god, there's still a Banshee. How many orbitals? He's building 3 more. He has 1 in the air right now, just like the state of this game. Changeling's getting gunned down, but there are literally dozens more where that came from. The Overseers, a dozen more Overseers on the way. That wasn't even an intentional pun. I was a poet, and I didn't even know that that was a fact. Lurkers on the low ground. Does he have any high ground vision? A single Overlord, and he can slice through the SCVs there as well. Rogue doubling the worker count, which isn't necessarily a good thing. 90 to 45. Maybe we'll see a Raven for the first time in the history of potentially forever? No. It's going to be another reactored starport, but advanced ballistics on the way. Clem trying to shoot the lurkers out of the ground, but the ground is lurkers, and I don't think you have enough ammo or energy. 15 more SCVs dead. Nidus is popping up every which way, just outside of the sensor tower range. Burrow move roaches. More lurkers in production, and behind this, Rogue has established 5th and 6th bases. His income is now at 3,000 more resources per minute than Clem. That's multiple mining bases. Another legion of changelings. While other changelings go the other way, it's almost like 2 players are controlling these changelings. It's actually kind of confusing. He's covering for his burrow roaches with changelings. I'm not even sure how intentional that is. I think he's just boxing a bunch of units and sending it across the map. The Venn diagram of freedom, going to make sure nothing comes out of that Nidus. And Clem plummets to 200 supply. Rogue's onslaught continues. But Clem hasn't actually, like, when you tally it up, Clem has barely lost anything. He's lost SCVs, but changelings dying by the dozen. 1 survived. There's still... Oh my, this is like a horror movie. Hey, boys. He killed 50 changelings, but there's still 1 more. It's so obvious. Hey, come on. In the pipe 5x5, am I right? So, Rogue willing to lose 50 for 1, and technically they're free. Caduceus reactor is on the way. Spire overhead. Rogue with a lot of money in the bank. But Clem It's... well, he survived. It feels bad. It feels like Clem makes so many people feel, to be honest. But Clem still has money in the bank. He's got 200 supply. He has plenty of ghosts. In fact, Rogue still doesn't have 3-3 upgrades, so he's working on it. A bunch of real Marines moving in to this top left corner. Rogue is also taking the gold base at the 3 o'clock position. Baneling's rolling in now. Cameo appearance. Nidus within the safety zone. More changelings in the main. The ghost count is at 18. The Banshee is still alive. Missile attack level 3. Now going to complete, but there are 31 overs here. Gonna take down the rocks down the center. And Rogue, you gotta be careful. Okay. Oh my god, so many changelings. Constantly between like 20 and 50 changelings on the field. But Clem is dealing with them as quickly as he can. Liberators are pretty good for holding down the bases. Ghosts are good for pretty much everything else. Spire is now... Is that the second Spire? Indeed it is. Tanks killing dozens of changelings at a time. 6 more overseers on the way. That's one way to solve that. But they can't kill them all. If you get enough changelings that they can just flood the siege tanks, they... I don't know. At some point. Maybe Clem's computer will... Well, thankfully, I upgraded my computer in no small part so I could watch Rogue games without... and record Rogue games without actually dropping FPS. Because, unironically, I had to turn down graphic settings when Rogue was playing Zerg versus Terran. But now, and this is not a sponsored video, but with the new AMD X3D processors, I can watch a Rogue infuriate Clem at 60 plus FPS and beautiful, beautiful physics. As we see the lurkers slice through whatever's in front of them, but the liberators overhead. The physics are on extreme, by the way. Everything else is on ultra. Besides, apparently, the... Alright, we live in darkness now. Is that one muta? A single muta. On the way. "13 Hydras. Jimmy, turn the light. Ah! My eyes! Sorry. This has been a trying game for everyone involved. We've seen Ricky the accidental swarm host, but how about Mickey the accidental muta? Alright. First time I've seen that one. It has to be a misclick of some kind, but I have no idea. Meanwhile, another planetary on the way as Clem holds it together for now. Rogue with almost 9,000 minerals in the bank. Unfortunately, changelings don't show up in the unit's lost tab. They don't cost anything, technically, besides energy on the overseers. But the emotional toil. Clem at over 500 APM, and I would love to know how much of that is just clicking on changelings. Meanwhile, the Hydra, Lings, and Banes taking the speed highway. Lurkers find a Nidus into the main. This is the most Zerg game I've ever seen. Absolutely everywhere. Hydras lunge away, kills the snipes, but the Legion of Overs, it's like firing into clouds. Okay, 23 more Overlords are on the way. Oh, Rogue. This is the most roguelike game. If only StarCraft 2 was on Steam, we could get the hottest tags. It's a weird thing to say, but it's somehow true. 21 ghosts. Clem has been maxed out for almost all of this. But he can't get out of his base. Like, Rogue with 350 APM, which I have to stress is incredibly low, even for Protoss, but has managed to keep Clem bottled up with the power of changelings. The Hydras might be able to use the healing shrine, The ghost, he's just over top of the ghost, making it so difficult to actually snipe. Banelings are rolling through. If he stands still for a moment, the Banelings will connect. And using the Banelings as an acidic shield in order to box out the ghosts. And Clem, he takes a real hit. 23 more Overseers on there. He's gonna have 50. This is madness. But the ghosts will be healed up by the healing shrine. Doesn't even need medevacs in this scenario. They probably should have them. This, not 47 Overseers, which have exactly 0 DPS between them. There are 47 changelings on the field. He is physically overwhelming Clem right now. I may have another Nidus in the main, but Clem is actually, it's finally been enough. Clem is running out of money. I feel like patience is the most valuable commodity right here, but Liberators and Ghosts, the speed highway, the fleet of Overseers lines up the shots, a volley of snipes, but the Banelings just roll through, interrupting any snipes. The Hydras take out the base. The Changelings are also there. There's also something happening over to the left side. Is this more lurkers? Of course it is. Rogue. The gold base. For 10 minutes straight, Rogue has had an obscene income advantage. There are Banelings in there. He's actually cloaking the Banelings with the Overseers, making it impossible for Clem to really judge how the fight is going. And also me. And also, I'm pretty convinced Rogue is just going on vibes at this point. But Rogue can rebuild. He's been mining off of more bases. The Changelings are flooding any location. He's body blocking it a ghost. There are Changelings in the main. Clem is at 150 in supply. He's being smothered. I think he's done it. Rogue can rebuild again and again and again. And Clem has nothing left with which to build. The Changelings a means to an end, but the end is coming. As the Zerglings overrun the tanks, the last ghosts are pinned in by Zerglings and Changelings, and Clem taps out. Oh my. If only we could see the Changelings lost tap. Alright. But Clem just drowns in a sea of Changelings. Rogue ends the game with 41 Overseers. Literally breaking the game. So Overseers, you can have as many as you want. Well, limited by resources on the map. Because it's not like you're going to run out of supply. They are the supply. Now, the risk, of course, is overcommitting early and getting run down. Rogue was able to get the jump on the Nidus and the lurker timings. Clem didn't find a lot of success. Honestly, his tank pushes got shut down. I think it was the attempts to drop the main instead of focusing on the tank push outright that kind of hamstrung Clem going into the late game. But you don't expect someone who's making 50 Overseers to really have an effective army. But Rogue just... The best term I've come up with and I'm going to stick with is drowning. Clem treading water that whole time. But eventually, the Zerg were too much. Wow. All right. I'll see if we can do that a couple more times. Clem is starting things off. It's going to be Reapers. If you're Clem, you do not just go to the late game. There are ways. Okay. I know many games nowadays kind of just skip to hive tech and 4 bases. But I guarantee you Clem, if he wants to get aggressive, can find ways. With the micro that he brings to the table, even there. Alright, dealing with dozens of lurkers and hydras, he held on for that long against an army composition that Diamond players have complained about since day one. Not that that's exactly the basis for comparison, but like the magic he can make happen with just a handful of units. Rogue just made Clem... And this is why Rogue has always been... Why there has been that legitimate argument that maybe Rogue, the greatest of all time. I don't think so. I think it's Zero. But even Dark has never had that. It's not so much a feeling that he's the best. It's just the willpower to inflict himself on the game. Clem does it. It's a lot more obvious with Terran units. They are inherently very microable, though fragile. Zerg, on the other hand, is much more momentum-based. Like, if you don't get a foothold, well, then you can't get the rest of your many Zerg feet in. But he certainly found a way in. The Threepers now challenging the Queens. Third command center's already on the way. Get up! Brenda. You know you really have anger issues. Susan, I don't want to hear a goddamn word. Don't, you're gonna offend people. They should be offended. All right, most of them are Terrans, and I hate Terrans. Well, we can get on board with that, but like maybe use different words. Okay. I really hate no. Okay, you know. We'll pick this up later. Pick up like medevacs? I don't think so. Not now. Sorry, I blacked out for a moment. Rogue. Throwing back the Reapers, gets his third. We got a starport on the way. Clem is gonna go with the 3-2-1-1. Of course, when you get two barracks early, that leads itself directly into stim and medevacs, obviously. And he's going to be leveraging that to the greatest extent. There are thin margins here. If Rogue is able to deal with the first set of medevacs, then Clem doesn't have much follow-up. He's not going to have a lot of production. He's not going to have upgrades. But he is going to have two, like his metaphorical father Beyond. Two medevacs with a bunch of stim marines are potentially a game-ending tool. They can be a scalpel. They can be a jackhammer. A screwdriver. Occasionally a magnet. And other assorted tools. A power saw. A scythe. Yeah, that about covers it though. Like that you got the idea. So he jams all the Marines he has into the medevacs, plus one carapace on the way for Rogue. He went up to 55 drones. He's building Queens. The creep spread has just begun. Clem goes straight for the main, not bothering with the creep. He's gonna drop into the corner. Does he actually fight there? Thought he might try to juggle Marine somehow against Zerglings. Not really a thing, but it's too cute. No! We can't land on it, but you can shoot it in the face. That's fine. Okay, weird logic from the Terrans there, but still. Not so friendly fire obliterating the SCVs at the third. And Rogue has dealt with the early drop. He's got enough Zerglings on the field. And in fact, because Clem went straight for the main, means the creep spread, at least not cut down too early. Also, very notably, Rogue took down the set of rocks near the northern watchtower. That means he'll be able to maneuver a lot easier to potentially flank any tank pushes up here. The Marines gonna get some extra shots on the hatchery, already softening it up a lot. The Queens ambling down, doing their best. Alright. Well, trying to get in position. Baneling speed just started. 1-1's on the way for Clem. He already finished combat shield as well. So he's gonna have a very potent set of Marines. +1 carapace is done for Rogue, covering all his bases. Works for everything. Not buildings, unfortunately, but... the Queens spreading the creep, and it feels like Rogue has, again, kind of survived the early pressure, and Clem is at severe risk of kind of stalling out. Double drop. Patrolling Zergling, spotting for it. He's got a drop on the left, a double drop on the right. The double-double. Always dangerous with the double upgrades completing as well. But +1 melee attack and +2 carapace are on the way for Rogue. Zerglings move to intercept. The Marine count is still damn high, though. Picks up the vast majority of the Marines. Some spores on the edge. The Queen's caught out. And going into the top left corner. More Queen's going to try to take down the medevacs in position for now. But the Marines are gunning down so many Zerglings. Elevators his way back down. And Clem's starting to make progress here. Guns down a few more drones. Hatchery taking heavy fire. And he may be able to just take it out. The Marines aren't entirely focused, but they're focused enough. Down goes the 5th base. And things tighten a little. Rogue now adding Hydras in. Infestation pit in the top left corner of the map, which is... feels a little lackadaisical. Drones going to mine. Hydra's gunned down before he can even rebuild. They'll expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. We got the M&M and M&M. Marines, medevacs, mines, and tanks coming together in the mines. Oh no. Baneling's wiped out. Another one taken down, and Clem with a decisive victory on the field, leaving the Hydras all alone. Oh, they'll have company in the unit's lost tab at this rate. More Zerglings on the way. Lurker dead. Does he have a hive? Did not even start it yet. Things are spiraling for Rogue. He needs this 4th base desperately. That siege tank in position will be taken out. Rogue with Hydras and Queens, but trying to make their way up the ramp. 2-2 upgrades about 30 seconds out for Clem. Drilling claws now completed. Medevacs, healing those Marines up to full. I think Clem just waiting. He's a 40 supply. This is a literal uphill battle for Rogue. The drilling claw's done, though. The Marines and Zerglings wiped out. The Whittle Mine doing terrible, terrible damage. Trying to chase things down. Infantry weapons level 2. Now completed. +2 carapace is done, but the Queens! Oh no, the Frenchmen will gun down the Queens one by one. A revolutionary idea. Well, Rogue is holding. But at what cost? 6 more lurkers on the way. Well, the first 6 lurkers, which is technically accurate, but, you know, different idea. The Banelings, not enough to take out the mines. 2-2's now done for the Marines. Rogue faltering at the natural as well. The Queen's trying to hold. A single lurker is holding it together. More lurkers to the north. Falling back. The Whittle Mines trying to drag him into the medevacs. Limited success. Another set. But just more Marines added on. Hive has completed. Rogue not tapping it out yet. Trying to drag more of those mines in. And with lurkers on the field, it gets harder and harder for Clem to actually make progress, but he's going to find another opportunity. Driving through. Takes out the Baneling with ease. The Hydras are exposed. Queen's on the right flank. Hydras on the left. But Clem will just cut through everything down the center. Finally might be forced to pick up and head out. More Widowmine's awkward engagement. Where did these guys come from? Somehow, Rogue survives. But ghosts are in production. More lurkers on the way. Lurker range is about to complete. The ghosts have joined the fray. It's too much. Rogue is broken. And Clem strikes back. A masterclass, losing half the resources. When Clem's hot, he's scorching. And even though Rogue did a great job defending across the board, without any sort of counterattack to slow it down, Clem was clearly focused on getting the damage done as quickly as possible. And it pays off for him. We're all tied up 1-1 going in to Amygdala. Honestly, Rogue, it's kind of crazy how Rogue comes back from his military service. He's been back for almost a couple years now. Unfortunately, not as consistent. And he's been really struggling in Zerg versus Protoss, which is a significant percentage of the matchups nowadays as well. So, but the fact that he's still a contender, and not like a gimmicky contender. Yes, the Overseer strat is gimmicky, I guess. The thing, I don't know how to feel about it, because it feels like something like, if you know it's coming, you should be able to deal with it, right? But it just kind of, there's so much of it. It's a quantity thing, not a quality thing. Like your mother. But it wasn't able to get anywhere close. Clem really cutting through and carving up Rogue in game 2 with... It wasn't easy, but there was a clear momentum shift, I think, as he started working on the Hydras. Very difficult to chase down the medevacs in general, but it's not like you can just go Spire and get Corruptors without sacrificing, because Corruptors are vulnerable to bullet-type weapons, and the Terrans seem to have a lot of those. So, and of course, that would be a huge percentage of your gas early, just getting like a Spire and 5 Corruptors. The SCV here to make whatever drone goes out for a third base's life difficult. Does he double it up to send another drone? The SCV is scouting for exactly that. The Reaper's coming in. And it's going to be close. He built it. That means no gas. At least not... Oh, I lied. Ah, okay. He's doing the... It's not really new, but he's saving 100 gas. If he gets his third base blocked, he just gets Ling speed. If it's not blocked, you can wait it out. It's just a matter of whether you need those extra minerals, really. And if he was dealing with like a 2-Rax Reaper or something, Ling speed needs to be as quick as possible. Alright, Reaper. Queen papers, please. I don't... Glory deserts Stokska. Hellions on the way. And a second Rex. Clem wants to hit the medevac timing again. He wants his tools early. As good as he is with the Banshees, Banshees are rarely a killing unit. They will carve out an advantage, limit the economy, help with defense, but there's no substitute for medevacs full of Stim Marines. Is this going to be a Hellbat timing? Will Clem be the only player in weeks to make a Hellbat timing work? Oh, no, he probably already flipped over the bet. Yeah. Okay. Or the Stim Marines. Clem wants to win. All right. Believe it or not. Rogue, up to 50 drones now. Wait, does he even have a third command center? He does. If it's like almost by default. You can load into the game, get a third command center nowadays. Oh my, it's an armory. He is doing Hellbats. Ah, it's happening. So Rogue does not have a Roach One. Does not have a Baneling Nest. He's going to be doing double upgrades. Now, the counter to Hellbats usually is just Queens, but this is not just Hellbats. There's going to be plenty of Marines alongside them. Well, probably slightly behind them, but the details aren't that important. And this must do some damage, because Rogue will have an advantage in terms of upgrade timing. He will have an advantage in terms of the worker count. And as time goes on, map control. Oh my. Run away! It escapes. But Clem boosting across the map. The rocks down the center taken down. Rogue might be able to take a fourth base there. But here come the Hellbats. Alongside, well, the Marines are the real threat, but the Hellbats help to thin out the Zerglings. Plenty of Queens. A lot of energy here. Already killing a few drones, incinerating one Queen, gunning down another, trying to get behind the Marines, minimizing the Hellbat damage. One medevac, oh, they're chasing, move command! Oh, wait a second. The damage continues to be dealt. The Hellbat's taking so much, he just chases it down, and Clem! Oh, ho, ho. Just guillotining Rogue. Wow. Okay. So he just walks up and kills him. Well, really waddles up with the Hellbats, but you get the idea. Huh. Huh. Well, that was a decisive one. Rogue skipped the Roach One. He skipped the Baneling Nest in favor of getting upgrades a little bit quicker. And it cost him. A few roaches coming out. I mean, I don't know if that makes the difference, but it doesn't hurt. Especially compared to just Zerglings and Queens. But we go into match point. Rogue in the top right. Clem in the bottom left of ley lines. Clem clearly on a mission now. He never wants to see the Oversight Committee again. That was, honestly, one of those losses that really feels... When you're at 200 supply with 20 ghosts and money in the bank and you can't figure out how to attack for like 10 minutes, we're going to keep going back to that game. Because the last two games, Clem's victory is pretty cut and dry. Okay. Especially dry that last one. Rogue getting charbroiled. But Clem has correctly pinpointed the part of the game that he needs to focus on, which is pretty much any time before 200 supply. And so far, Rogue unable to come up with an answer to Clem's decisive timings. I wouldn't be surprised to see another medevac-based opener. SCV heading across. Make life a little more difficult. Also, the SCV scout before the Reaper comes across, and the off chance that he goes for like a pool first, roach all in, something like that, get a little bit of a early warning to keep the Reaper back at home. 95% of the time, this is to make sure the third base is slightly delayed and just keep tabs on things. But that 5% avoids losing for almost free. So Clem will force the drone down to the other third. He doesn't send the Reaper to chase that down, so I don't think... the intent isn't so much to deny the third, it's to deny that third in particular. Make it a little bit easier, because the third base, the linear third base, is a lot closer when it comes to medevacs and tank pushes. So that much easier to put pressure on. Also, when you force them into the linear third, it's easier to potentially drop the main, as usually the triangle third covers that to some extent. Like, you'll probably have a spore or something down there. But the medevacs can come in from any angle, and you can potentially deny the creep spread across the whole board. Starboard on the way. It's going to be the 1-1-1 Destiny Cloud Fist build to start things off for Clem, but we'll see what direction he takes as time goes on. Chasing down the Zerglings. There will be speed. Rogue just delaying it to make sure he gets that third. It's on the way. How does Rogue adapt, is the question. He knows what Clem wants to do. Well, I don't know how much it's just map dependent. Like, game 1, Persephone is a larger map. There's a lot of space to work with. Most of our other maps are not nearly as long a rush distance. So that might just be the difference. We'll see what Rogue can do. Cloak Banshee's on the way. Queen's zoning things out, trying to connect the creep between the bases. Clem very aware. Lair begins. Quite a quick lair. Not overwhelmingly so, like, this is very suspicious, but... And he's only got one gas geyser, which usually indicates it's just for upgrades and overseers. Well, really just for overseers. You don't need the lair for 1-1 upgrades. Smoke is not done. The Queen's gonna be able to take down one of these. Hellions darting in the other side. Alright, Rogue. Baneling Nest on the way, not making that mistake this time. Banshee working on the 4th base down the bottom right corner. Double NG Bay in production. Cloak completed. Hits the cloak, and now going to start working on the Queens with it. Need to get back to the creep for a transfuse. Meanwhile, the Hellions. Rover's here trying to put some damage onto this base. He doesn't know exactly when or where the Overseers are going to come out. He just knows they will. Hellions darting in again, finding nothing. Double Evo chamber in the back of the natural. It's 3 Queens and a handful of Zerglings. Clem doesn't know how many Lings are back there. He'd probably run by if he knew it was just, oh, wait, there's another group of them. I take it back. Changeling. Just don't mind me. Ooh, one Banshee taken down, the other one left behind. He's burning through the Zerglings. Goes for the base. 3 drones. 5. 7. Good thing they have a little counter, but... And Rogue. Ooh, well. The Hellions cornered. Somehow managed to slip away. But 8 drones lost. A lot of mining time. Not great, not terrible. He lost all of the Hellions. He lost a Banshee. Rogue bounces back quickly. This Banshee's still racking up the kill. The Zerglings trying to sneak in. Rogue gets 69 drones, which is pretty nice economy, but you really would like to be on closer to 80 here in order to actually compete with Clem on the field, because Rogue is going to have worse upgrades He has mediocre creep spread. And no Hydras yet. So, really all you have here is the quantity of units on the field. The Queen's transfuse, not enough. Overseer hit. Widowmine. Drawn out. Baneling speed almost done, but not quite there yet. Draws out. Another Widowmine hit. Claws it to pieces. Clem actually a little supply blocked. Which, I'm not sure what he lost. Oh, looks like Rogue hit this with Banelings. Interesting choice. At the third. That's all he got, but he did slow Clem down for a moment. Changeling wander again. Combat shield isn't done yet, which means the Banelings are quite an existential threat to the Marines. Especially when they're in autumn colors. Mine Marine drop down, or up to the north side. Guns down, 3 Hydras. The Queens are going to be drawn through the Widow Mines. Takes her down beforehand. Trying to draw out more hits. Things escalating here. Rogue needs to deal with this sooner rather than later. Otherwise, it's only going to get worse. Wings and Banes overrunning. Great spread there. Can't believe it's not butter from Clem. 2-2 upgrades on the way. Will you go for it? He sees 5-6 Banelings. That's an opportunity for a highlight clip of target practice. But much safer to just pick up and get out. 3 more racks on the way. The Zerglings will finally deal with the Widowmines over here. And just as they get cleaned up, Clem has another army ready to swing in. Rogue is going for a hive, but he has no further upgrades on the way. Which means once 2-2 completes, there will be a significant upgrade advantage. The Zerglings trying to draw the mine hits. The mine's left behind. The drops head towards the main. Another attack down south. Rogue holding for now. More best Banelings wandering into the third. Clem not paying any attention. And that's going to be a big hit. 10 SCVs. 13. But at the same time, the main base taking fire. Hydraslings and Banes. Across the board. Without the 2-2 upgrades, though, Clem loses a medevac. 1 Marine left behind. 4th base under fire. The Zerglings trying to draw out the Widowmine hits. Drilling Claws is completed. Plenty of Overseers, as usual, for Rogue. Oh, that was a pretty big hit. The 2-2 upgrade's not there yet. Rogue holding. And he's got a Lurker Den on the way. But now, he survived the initial wave. But this is when things get even more difficult. A 2 upgrade advantage for Clem with greater army supply. He even finished +1 plating. There are no Lurkers. There's not that many Banelings. Clem's economy is similar. He has great production. He's at 8 racks, 2 factories, and a starport. Over 10 production facilities. The only saving grace... Oh, wow! The Banelings! He stands his ground and guns down the Banelings before they can roll in. Rogue bleeding out across the field. More Widowmines targeting more Banes. Clem knows the advantages he has. The moment those upgrades finish, he starts just taking out Banelings. Unburrows the mine. Some Prairie Dog Micro to bring it back. The Spore Crawler will be taken down. 4 Lurkers on the way. 5th base for Rogue. Eliminated. And now the Natural. The heart of the swarm. Could be next. The Widowmines try to drag these hits in. He picks up into the medevacs in the process. More mines spreads the Zerglings. It's something. Lurker's gonna try to save the day. Some ghosts already in production. The moment he spots the Lurkers. Rogue is now supply blocked. He's lost so many Overseer. Oh no. More Hydras getting caught. Clem just poking holes in the defense. The Lurkers barely holding it together. But for how long? And at what cost? Another. There's mines underneath. Hit some more. Hydralisk. in the natural as well. GG! Clem just yanks him apart. And it's too much. It's too much. After a overwhelming game one, Clem strikes back 3 times in a row. And a decisive 3-1 victory. Still though, quite an entertaining series. Great to see Rogue keep up. But Clem, it seemed like he stepped up and decided, no, that's enough with your silly overseers. Let me show you how to actually win. So hopefully you enjoyed this from Wardy's Spring Championship. If you haven't yet checked out Wardy's 2025 series, maybe if you got the means and motivation, support it. Jimmy put a link in the description for once. Just remember it this time. But either way, if you got the means and motivation as well, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. Thank you to our Mule tier patrons, bringing in those extra minerals. Big Jiggy Door, Mario, random guy in the chat suit. Glad you still enjoy. To everyone, I hope I made your day just a little bit better. Congratulations to Clem. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.
Hell, it's about